I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 4 of Peacemaker Season 2. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to HBO Max, and check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from episode 4 of Peacemaker Season 2, it's Jon Jon Rico!
Hello!
Hello!
How we doing?
We're doing good. I thought you were going to hit me with some reference to the show. I'm always waiting for ones now. Like, I'm expecting it. But then I realized, I was like, there's not really much.
I couldn't think of one. Yeah, nothing off the top
from
of
this
my
episode?
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't, eat fake eagle shit like the Rooker was doing this.
I really want to know what he was actually eating. Was it like something covered? It had to have been like a potato chip covered with like melted like white chocolate or something, because it was crunchy.
I think they said on the podcast after the episode, Steve Agee was saying that it was like some kind of like cookie dough kind of like substance or something like that too. But it looked almost like peanut brittle-y or like something frosting covered or something like that.
But
obviously.
It was so thin. That's why I thought it was like a chip. It was crunchy and it was thin, covered with something. Yeah,
it looked like just like a hardened piece of like frosting that you just eat or something like that. Yeah, so yeah, it was funny how you just and it's like the way he just nailed down every little thing. That was part of like Peacemaker Night. What he gives them like, your cold cuts and Cheetos, and
it was all of that, and then the extended end credit scene just kept going longer and longer.
Lima beans, pad thai. A5 Wagyu.
He ate all that since his fucking last shit.
Oh, man.
There's no way you got all of that.
That was perfect.
Loving the tags at the end of the episode. Like extended fun shots they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to them every single episode, just as much as I look forward to watching the intro every single episode. As many times as HBO Max asks me if I'd like to skip, I will always say no. Yes, forever. But kicking this off, I'm going to kick this off with something that has nothing to do with episode 4 in particular, but I think it's worth making note because it did come out this week. It did come out during the episode 4 airing time window. We officially have Peacemaker in Fortnite, and I am so excited about that. Not only do we have him, I mean, I was already talking about my criticism with Eagly being a plush like stuffed animal back bling. I don't appreciate that as much. I think Eagly is way more important than that. Should have been, a living animal back bling that maybe squawked when you got eliminations, or like threw like a dead animal when you like got eliminations or something like that. Anyway, it
should have been a weapon in the game.
Yeah, Eagly like dive bombs.
Eagly, yeah. There you go. Yeah, exactly.
That would make
some use out of him, yeah.
Yeah, or an Eagly glider. Like it didn't come with a glider. I would have loved, an Eagly glider that just kind of squawked, and maybe as soon as you jumped off, he dropped like a dead rodent or something like that. But I do appreciate that one of the emotes is, a snippet from the intro song and part of the intro dance. I do appreciate that. I think they nailed that one. I love
that was perfect.
I love doing that. But anyway, this episode, I mean, we were kind of talking about this before we, started recording. This episode was good. There's a lot of really cool parts that I know both of us want to get into, and big takeaways and what it kind of means for, episode 5 and the rest of the season. But it kind of feels like we're in the exact same spot that we were, after the last episode. So they could have almost been combined, which would have been cool. And I know that kind of leads perfectly into, exactly what you wanted to kind of talk about with instant reactions. So Rigo, what were some of your instant reactions for episode 4?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing too. Like, this is not a bad episode, but I mean, like, you're still getting a lot of the stuff that you love from
Yeah.
Peacemaker episodes. It's just that there's not a lot of plot that's being moved forward from this episode, going on from last episode too. We kind of end this kind of like on the same level that we kind of ended last week on too. So yeah, that's definitely a fair criticism at that part. But I actually really enjoyed kind of like the first of all, I really like that we're getting flashbacks to start off each
Yeah.
episode. It was last week that we got the Rick Flag cameo, of course, with the flashback going back before Suicide Squad. But this one, we get the first shot is a young Chris and a young Keith, of course. So we get that kind of young flashback going back to what we saw a lot in season one, of course, the big moment where that whole the death happened to Keith. But we saw like an earlier part of their childhood, where they're out hunting with their dad, and and the dad stumbles upon an alien that they decides to shoot. He goes, I don't know if he mistakes it for another animal or something. Just his entrance. He's like, "Oh, go shoot it," or he was just so freaked out by. He's like, "Okay, I gotta take this thing out." And then they kind of see like what it is, and then that's how we end up seeing how they discovered the quantum voting chair, the QUC as they call it. So it's really cool how we found to see how they got into possession of it, and like realizing that Augie's not really like this big genius that actually like built this interdimensional room for him and his sons to use, but really that he just kind of stumbled upon it in a hunting accident, which to me is very much more fitting to the character too. Like, it's just hard to correlate like the way that guy was portrayed in the first season with like having the kind of knowledge
Right.
to build something of that scale. But there's also like the lingering question of like how the helmets came to be too, and I'm sure that's a question that still is going to be answered at some point. So I thought that was a really cool aspect of the flashback storyline that played in, of course, an aspect of the show that's been very important, especially for this episode, because the whole episode revolves around them moving the QUC from the house to the cabin in the woods, right? So I think it's really cool how to kind of just learn how that they came upon that tech. Another scene I really liked too was the flag and the hardcore scene when they meet together in her apartment. And after she gets done doing some more bar fight brawling, which I thought was really funny. But there's a great conversation between those two, because obviously hardcore's dealing with like her purpose and like what she's gonna do, because she can be an agent, of course, and Flag's got that leverage to be able to kind of use that against her to get her to do what he wants her to do, of course. But there's a great callback in that scene where they talk about his back being broken, which is a great reference to Creature Commandos when he gets his back broken by Clayface, of all characters, who of course is actually going to be one of the next DCU movies that they're preparing right now too. So all the way it's all kind of tying together is really cool. I actually wonder if that version of Clayface is the same one, because I can't remember. Didn't that version of Clayface die in Creature Commandos, or if he kind of played dead to a degree? But I know they kind of did something where they actually like destroyed a version of Clayface. So yeah, it's just kind of cool how they just keep referencing these kind of moments where they're all going to circle back when we see these characters again. So yeah, not a lot of plot forwarding stuff as far as the season 2 overall plot, but there's still some pretty good character moments as well.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this episode is, as you kind of talk about it, and you brought up a bunch of stuff, these little snippets that we get are like hints and breadcrumbs of other stuff and other connections. To a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a big reveal that Augie actually stumbled upon the tech. Like that's a giant reveal that was just kind of thrown out there at the very, very beginning of everything. And it leads to so many more theories and so many more questions on, well, how did he get the rest of the tech? How did he, build the helmets, just like you were saying, and stuff like that. So hopefully, we do have some time to unpack, or at least get the story of how, stuff like that happened. There's so many theories that I've already stumbled down about, that kind of stuff, which is very interesting. And I've said this multiple times, and I will always say this. I love being able to follow these kinds of shows, week to week, because then, you're with everybody else in the conversation online.
Exactly.
And there's so much stuff that you can talk about, and little things that you can jump on and kind of talk about and everything like that. I also, one other thing that I really liked was the suitcase, the little teeny tiny crescent moon metallic suitcase thing. I was thinking that was like some sort of portable jump thing into the QUC.
Oh yeah.
But I love that actually physically changes the doorway. Like from the last place it was to now, this is the permanent doorway until you change it again and stuff like that. I thought that was such a cool detail, because that means like, as long as you have that suitcase, the access to that will never end type of thing. Like we could see that with other characters. Like if Argus takes that type of thing and then they use it for something else. And like, you know what I mean? Like that
which is
could be
what
passed
Flag is trying to
everywhere.
do, it seems like too. Yeah.
Exactly. So I am so interested to where that can lead to and how that kind of unfolded and stuff like that. Because when we got the preview for this episode, I kind of more just thought, it was like, an on the road one type of thing. And you just had to make sure that you met the right conditions for it. And it would just be a weird, like one-time jump through that doorway type of thing. But to permanently change it puts such an interesting kind of spin on it, because now it's whoever possesses that case has access anytime they want type of thing. I just thought that was really interesting. You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to kick off big takeaways with, look, we got a taste of some of the stuff that I was really hoping and looking forward to. And what I'm talking about is some of those interactions with some of the characters that we were kind of hoping that we were getting. And, we got Economos, Judo Master, and Agent Flurry in the van when they were on the way to intercept Peacemaker.
Yeah.
That entire scene is incredible. I just love everything that's going on with that. And Economos is like,
I wish I killed him. I wish he was sitting there right now, dead.
You wish my corpse was here in front of you?
Yeah.
And Judo Master is like,
guilt trips him.
Yeah, you would carry around my dead body, dishonoring my family. That
torturing my loved ones like that. Like, you don't have to get so deep with it.
Yeah, you're getting way deeper in this than I. It was just like such a perfect. Like that's exactly what I wanted when I was saying this during our last recap, saying I really hope we get Economos and Judo Master kind of going back and forth verbally in this, just to the degree I really want to see. And not only did we get that, and we got a very short taste of it. It was more fighting than talking, but we got a quick moment of Judo Master and Peacemaker, which I don't think is going to be the last time they're going to have an interaction. But I just thought, it was a funny.
That was a funny fight. Yeah.
Yeah. A funny / fight scene that ended with, Chris falling on Judo Master and just basically like
squashing him into
him.
knocking him out.
Yeah, pancaking him basically because he's so much bigger.
Like toilet paper on my shoe. I can't pick you off. Like every time he just kind of talks down to, they're little jibber jabbers at each other. Like you especially go back when they had him captive in the first season and stuff like that. Just the way they just like trade jabs is just so funny. Just can't help it.
Right. Exactly. So that was something that I did really appreciate about this episode. We did start getting a taste of these interactions that I was talking about, that I was looking forward to. And obviously hope that we get more of them, and hope that, there are some different ones. Like I would love to see, more of Judo Master and Economos, and maybe more of like verbally going back and forth with Judo Master and Peacemaker. And then, like Adrian and Agent Flurry would be hilarious, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And just, more and more of that, I really hope we get to see. But yeah, that for me was some of the scenes that I will always, be looking forward to in future episodes, because we got the taste of it that I wanted in this episode already. But Rico, what were some of your big takeaways?
Yeah, I even like during the van scene where like even though Economos and Judo Master like hate each other so much, they're both so annoyed by Flurry that they both will kind of like gang up on him at the same time too. So like kind of like, enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of kind of uniting in their hazing of Flurry.
Yeah, they ganged up on everybody else. They ganged up on Michael Rooker's character too. Like
exactly.
Like,
Economos calling Red State Wild Captain Cultural Appropriation was hilarious to me. And then there's the funny scene where like Sasha Bordeaux's talking to them and like trying to get them to say something, and then Fleur just like don't tell her nothing. Don't tell her, like don't throw me under the bus. I'm like, no, we're gonna throw you under the bus. Like they don't care about him at all. And then of course, Economos spitting in Flurry's face too. Is like the one time we see Flurry.
What the fuck? I told you not to call me that.
Flurry get like legit mad, which I think is funny because like at the end of the day, he's still like a high-ranking member of Argus. Like he's still got like he still is where he is for a reason. So I'm sure there's gonna be a point where we actually get to see some like how he's actually capable in the spot that he's actually supposed to be in. So I can't wait to see that to some degree. But he's just actually just showing some restraint there, which I thought was hilarious. But like I mentioned in the takeaway, in our summaries, of course. That like this was kind of like a non-plot forward moving kind of episode where we were just it was really just kind of like a race against time kind of an episode where it was Argus is like clearly trying to break into the QC that's already in the house, and Economos is doing his best job to stall as much as he can while they just move it to another place. And I think that's to me that's where, like, it's a lot of the same thing, because I think last time we got to see a lot of, of course, Chris was in the other dimension, so we got to see how he experienced that life over there. But now that he's kind of run into a situation where he knows he has to be on the run now, because last time he was just kind of falling into what was almost a trap. We actually get to see the lengths that Economos will go to actually like protect his friends, even when he's in a position where he has to actually like try to capture them too. So yeah, I think it's a really kind of a cool Economos focused episode, because one, you see him constantly dealing with these wild characters that he's surrounded with. Like even in the first season, when he's around the first group of 11 street kids with Peacemaker and Vigilante, like he's just like the normal guy who's got to react to like all these wild personalities, and now he's got even more of them in this team here with Red Saint Wild, Flurry, and Judo Master. So it's just like, and then you got the Cupid doll guy who's just sitting in the back, and as soon as he opens his mouth, they're like, "You're in trouble too." He goes, "Okay," and he didn't even say anything. He goes, "Now you just said something." So it's like he's like the only two normal guys there. But yeah, I just like how, like, one, they show like his capabilities as like an Argus, hacker or stuff like that. Like, didn't you hack into like the Pentagon at 14? And he goes, yeah, kind of one of those things. And he's just like, okay, I need a. I think I heard a cat or something like that. He's like trying to do everything he can. He goes, okay, well, we gotta get the cat afterwards. And so like he's just doing everything he can to stall a little time, and they're just sitting there like, okay, like we got to rely on this guy. So I just think he's always become been one of my favorite characters. But he's actually one of the characters that are like, obviously he's shown us to be like a little have more cowardice, because he doesn't have like fighting skills or any superpowers like that. But when the moment really needs him to show up, he shows up in a big way. Especially when he had to kind of be incognito amongst all the firefly or the butterflies in the first season too. So like he always like kind of puts his neck on the line in times of need. So I've always liked that about the Economos character. And going back to when he pushes over Red Saint Wild's character, like at the last second, the dynamic between him and Michael Rooker as Red Saint Wild is just really funny to watch. And then of course, like I said, the Captain Cultural Appropriation line is really funny. But Michael Rooker in this episode is just I love him in everything that he does with James Gunn, or just everything that he does in general. But this is probably one of like the more like weirder roles I've seen for him, which is saying a lot. But the shot of him dancing around the fire at the end of the episode is probably one of my favorite things ever, of course. And I told you he was doing some kind of like magical shit there at the end. I don't know what kind of ritual he was starting there, but he's clearly got some ability where you can just kind of like meditate into the skies and like watch eagles that like he's kind of good. He clearly thinks eagles like some kind of like mythical eagle god or something like that.
Prime eagle.
Yeah, the prime eagle.
The primordial eagle. Or
yeah, I just love everything about that. And it just like, I can't believe that this character is just having like the kind of arc that he is. And he's kind of like this big cliffhanger guy who's actually like giving us, he's actually showing the location of where Chris is because of his ability to track eagles. So I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, I just love Michael Rooker so much, and I'm so glad. I wish that he had like a bigger name character role, just like a character like Red Saint Wild. It's like it's a very James Gunn like thing to do. This like such a niche character that no one really knows about, but it's so perfectly well cast. And I just wish we could find like put more of him in the DCU, like just because he already got like 2 roles in there anyway. So
well, yeah, but also I mean I feel like Michael Rooker is one of those guys who's just like, tell me where I am, and because he gets killed. I saw somebody else say this, and I can't take credit for it. I just can't remember. It was scrolling on social media somewhere, but somebody was saying Michael Rooker has been killed in every project that he's worked with James Gunn on.
Oh yeah, James Gunn's even said like, I love killing Michael Rooker.
Right. So I feel like that's the whole reason why he doesn't take a bigger character like role in, because more than likely he's going to get killed off. And at this point, I'm hoping if it comes down to it, we get Eagly surviving and not Michael Rooker's character surviving type of thing.
Yeah, he's already played Savant too in the Suicide Squad as well. Too, so it's technically
the first person to die. Yeah,
his third DC character that he's technically already played too. And I'm like, I want to see him as more. Like, put him as an alien in like one of the Green Lantern things or something like that. Like, just cover his face up a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, it's look. There was so much with Economos and stuff like that. I actually saw an interview, and I haven't watched, like, I'm not caught up on the the after episode podcast stuff, but I know it was an interview with the actor that plays Economos and a couple of other characters from the show and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if it was part of that podcast or if it was actually from an interview. And they asked like who side is Economos on? Is he out there to help his friends? Or is he, working for Argus and just being an asshole, like holding things up, to kind of help, but whose side is he ultimately on? And he said, kind of without hesitation, that he is on the side of, Peacemaker and his friends and stuff like that, 110%. And another scene that he brought up, not only that one where he's stalling and he's been kind of stalling throughout the other episodes too that we've seen him, but the scene where it's nighttime and Harcourt gets, plans to meet Peacemaker and they're going to set him up and stuff. He gives her that look like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I've been doing all of this work to, help you guys and help, Chris out to not get captured. And you're going to send them right to him. Like, what are you doing? Like, he gives that look and they make sure to show that. And he pointed that out, like as 100% reference to he's all for, the 11th Street gang or the 11th Street kids type of thing. Like, he's all for that friendship over his job at Argus. So
yeah,
he said that's kind of like, that was the actual scene to 100% prove it, that that's all he's there for, is to kind of help them
and I think if she still had her job at Argus too, like she would probably do the same thing, but that can show the difference in where they are too in their personal life too. Like, he's doing what he can to save his buzz, but he's also maintaining his job security at Argus at the same time. Make it away, like he's doing just enough to kind of keep their eyes on the other way. They clearly don't trust them, but it's not enough to be like, you're out of here kind of a thing. Like, he
even says it. You pay
already gone.
My shit. Yeah,
exactly. So she's already gone. So she's more willing to be manipulated, I guess, by Flag in that sense. So I think it's a fun kind of character dynamic because they're so opposite in their situations too. But I think if she was in that situation, she would totally do the same for her friends. But she's just in a situation where she can't.
Yeah. I do think there's gonna be a turn with her. Like I don't know if it's gonna happen, right after they capture Chris and are like, detaining him and all the stuff like that she's gonna like lead a break. Like,
I think a big part of their character arc is gonna be that too. Like, just confronting her overall feelings, one for Chris and just being there for her friends.
Right. Exactly. I think they're, I feel like we're gonna end the season with the team back together type of thing. Like, I think we're getting, kind of that downward thing where the turmoil's happening and everything's going to hell and stuff like that. And then we're going to have to do that upward to, that one thing that bands everybody together again. And then we leave the season on, this is the team again type of thing. I think that's what we're going to get. We're going to get something like that. But that sounded a lot like a prediction. Would you like to get to some predictions?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Why don't we kick off predictions?
Okay. So, one thing is, I feel like, I think I might have said this last week too, but I feel like Vigilante is just not like, he's kind of being underused. The time he is used in this, it's great. Like, I love seeing him on screen, but I always feel like maybe in season 1, because they just really wanted us to like, really fall in love with Vigilante. I feel like he was on screen a lot more. There's a lot more dynamic going on between him and Peacemaker that was very funny, but maybe it's also because of the fact that Peacemaker is going through more of a personal journey this season. Like, he's not feeling as silly as he was feeling in the first season, of course. Like, he's not making his usual kind of like inappropriate jokes and innuendos. He does some here and there, like, trying to bring them back to kind of the level, but he's still going through a lot of deep personal shit that he's still wrestling with still at the same time. No pun intended, because John Cena's a wrestler. But I'm really hoping like in the second half of the season we'll get more just of Freddie Stroma as Vigilante in this too, because I just think I love watching him on screen. And when like his journey as the character of Vigilante, like he got cast late on in the filming process to replace another actor, and now I feel like he's got like this whole season where he's actually like the guy, and we're barely seeing him. Kind of a thing. And I was like, I'd really like to see more of him. Maybe it's leading to like a bigger moment with him later on in the season. But one thing I liked with him in this episode in particular is like there's one little brief interaction between him and Peacemaker. I think as Peacemaker's about to leave, and usually when he's like really a silly guy, but he gets real serious when he's actually like shows concerns for his friend, and he just makes sure that like Peacemaker's good. Like, you sure it's like what you want to do? Like, usually like he's usually trying to make some kind of joke to like offset like the seriousness of the situation. But usually like when he needs to lock in, he locks in. And I think that's like a really cool part of his character. One of my favorite parts of him in the first season is that when he goes into prison, like when he gets himself arrested, and he has that whole moment where he was about to kill Augie in prison, but then he kind of messed up the whole thing and he felt really bad about it. Like he made things worse for the whole situation. So yeah, so like it's a great. I like seeing when they kind of balance out some of those little mini serious moments with Peacemaker, with Vigilante, And I want to see like him do some more kick-ass stuff. Like, first of all, I want to see him in the suit. Like, I think we want to see. Have we even seen him in the suit in this season yet? Like, I think every time we see him, he's either just kind of helping out Peacemaker, just as like as Adrian. Yeah. So, yeah, bring him out the suit, put him in some action. right. So, yeah, I need more vigilante. And yeah, I just really hope this next half of the season kind of dives into that. I want to see Earth 2 vigilante too, if that's a thing, if he is that guy there. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that you're already tapping into, some of the stuff that we are going to see in kind of the back half of the season. Like, I mean, we're basically getting into, we have one more episode that I think other people have seen, but 6, 7, 8, no one has seen other than, the people that actually worked on it, like James Gunn and the close group of people. So our next episode is kind of going to be that turning point of, stuff that people are already prepared for versus what the fuck is happening next type of thing. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think the reason why it's even more apparent is because the small amount of times that we have had Adrian / Vigilante on screen, because I agree with you. I don't think we've really even seen him in the suit. We really haven't seen Chris in the suit much at all either.
He's been wearing a helmet.
It's just like I was thinking about this. This is basically like our Iron Man 3. We're getting Chris Smith. Tony Stark. We're not getting
the Smith journey, not the Peacemaker journey.
Exactly. But I mean, we've seen stuff in the original trailer. We've seen other stuff. There's plenty of like time that we're gonna see, Peacemaker in the suit and stuff like that. So that's
Judo Master never takes his suit off, so that's always the highlight too.
That's gonna look super weird if we ever get him without it.
I'm like, what do you wear? Like, do you ever take a shower? Like, what the heck?
I saw
suit back on and everything. Yeah. Oh, I've seen the actor too. Yeah.
He looks
a little guy.
Yeah, but the whole thing is he looks no different. But I'm just so used to seeing him in the suit and like with the whole face part on and everything that he just looks so different. But he's really not different. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so weird to see him like out of the suit. But yeah, I agree. What I was gonna say is, the reason why I think it's so apparent is every small scene that they've had Adrian in has been so funny and just like, perfect, like in that moment, that I think it's just like, why don't we have more of this? Like, like stuff like that. Because it's always been something funny, something with him, going off on a tangent about animals or quiz me on owls or spiders or something like that. Like, I just think it's been so many things like that. Or like what you were saying, having kind of that more like serious might not be the word for it, but concerned moment type of thing.
Locked in.
Right.
The kind of thing. Like he's there for the situation. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's kind of why I feel like it's even more apparent. And I do agree it's definitely less screen time than the first season, but the first season was dealing more with, here are the characters that are most important and they put them on the screen the most type of thing. And it was all just that team. So like, there wasn't really anybody else to play except for here's the bad guys and here's the team that we're following. So I think it was kind of easier to have, everybody on screen at the same time and everybody having
an assembled team too that was given assignments too. And this is a season dealing with a broken team. Yeah. So for sure.
So yeah, I'm right there with you though. I hope we do get more with him. And like I said, I would love to see, interactions between him and Judo Master, him and Agent Fleury and just, other people in general. I am looking forward to, getting more Vigilante / Adrian in those situations. The one thing I wanted to say, and it's not even prediction, it's just, after this episode, I'm worried about Eagly. And I just given, the history with James Gunn and kind of some animal characters, and I'm speaking more on the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy characters, type of thing. He gets us to care about characters, and then he doesn't really have a problem with killing them. So,
man, I think like people are gonna riot if he does that with Eagly.
I'm a little bit worried. The fact that like what I was saying earlier, that Michael Rooker's characters have been killed off in pretty much everything that he's done with James Gunn, gives me hope that if push comes to shove, he would kill Michael Rooker's character before he would kill off Eagly. But like at the same time, I don't know if anyone's safe in that situation. So that's basically my whole thing. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about Eagly. Because yes, I think everyone will riot if Eagly is killed off in some sort of way.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the preview for the next episode, but Red Saint Wow is rocking a comically huge gun. And
Yeah.
in a like, it's just like it's so cartoonishly big, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm here for it. I want to see how he's going to use that. What's the purpose of that thing?
Right.
Like, yeah, it's so good.
And I'm worried he's not going to have Economos to push him over if he's aiming at Eagly next time, type of thing. So
yeah. Exactly.
It's making me worried. I don't want to see Eagly
There's more eagles in the vicinity.
Yeah, I mean that would be perfect if Eagly was some sort of prime eagle and could
that
get the other
turns out
eagles.
to be a thing. Yeah, and he's summoned like an army of eagles. Oh my gosh.
but yeah, I can't wait for the next episode. I'm hoping we kind of get more, with like moving the plot and the story of the season and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm excited so far. Even though, and you kind of said it once, even this kind of felt like we didn't really progress any further than, last episode, we still did get a lot in this episode to appreciate. Number one, with, some funny interactions, stuff like that. And number two, backstory on a lot of stuff that leads to kind of more questions and hopefully, getting more answers, whether it be, during this season or hopefully, we get a third season and we can explore some more of the, stuff that's kind of been unpacking. The last thing I was going to say, and I meant to say it after, before takeaways, was that, that scene where we get the flashback, it's another kind of hint that Chris's brother isn't like, one for the life that his dad is kind of pushing him towards, because he's the one who said, don't kill it, type of thing. Yeah. And it's kind of just more evidence that he like kind of, didn't want that kind of life, didn't, agree with a lot of the stuff that his dad was kind of, trying to push them towards doing and feeling and stuff like that. So I'm still thinking about, this alternate version of his brother and how we could potentially get him, still dying but like maybe he's, even though Chris is from an alternate universe, him willing to sacrifice for even an alternate version of his brother, type of thing. We could get a scenario where he does sacrifice himself so that Chris can survive and get back to his original, universe and stuff like that. So I'm still really, thinking about that, theorizing about that, I guess, and hoping that, his brother, even in the alternate universe, is kind of like has that redeeming quality of only wants what's best for his brother, no matter what. No matter, if that means sacrificing himself, even if it's not exactly his brother, type of thing. So
yeah, we didn't really talk about the scene in the cabin with Chris and Adebayo where he talks about like what he saw over there, like and basically how like basically what is stirred up inside him, basically like what by his account or by even by our accounts, the Peacemaker 2 from that world was not really like a good guy. Basically, like he seemed like he was a burden on like not only like his friends, but also his family too. Like his family was constantly worried he was doing bad things, back on drugs or whatever it was. Like it just seemed like he was constantly someone they were constantly worried about. And our Peacemaker feeling like it seems like our lives were swapped. Like he should have been over here and I should have been over there. And I think that's a really cool, interesting thing. And then, maybe it's going to go into that whole thing later on where maybe it's too good to be true when he goes back over there and he learns more about what the world and stuff like that. But hopefully it's more just the fact that guy was just like a really shitty version of Peacemaker, and it's like the life that he should have had over there, or compared to this one, like this guy should have been over here, like but I got dealt the shitty card kind of a thing. But maybe it's not so much of like the bad things that happened to you and or the good things that happened in your life because of the bad things you did, but it's really like the good things you did because of the bad things that happened to you in your past life or something.
Right.
Like that. Yeah. So I think it's a fun. That's the part I'm probably looking forward to most now after learning some of this stuff in this episode, especially from Chris's own mouth, like how he feels about the whole situation.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that we've kind of already kind of discussed is how the stuff that the trauma and everything like that is kind of shapes the person, and so if you take away some of that trauma, we get the Peacemaker that we had in the Suicide Squad type of thing. But he had to go through that trauma and really come out a different person in the first season of Peacemaker and stuff like that to really have some personal growth. And to be able to see, like, because I also bet had we had, the Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad instantly go to this other universe, he probably wouldn't think that guy was that bad of a guy type of thing. But because he has changed so much and tried to grow because of, the stuff that he has dealt with his life and stuff like that.
The flag stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
He is a different person now, and he can see how much he's changed by having the examples of this other version of him that probably, didn't have to experience that stuff. So is still probably an asshole type of thing. But yeah, like I said, I just love that we can talk about this, week to week and kind of just fall down smaller rabbit holes that just kind of, well round out this entire universe and the other universe a little bit, by extension too, which is, it's just cool to be able to talk about all this stuff and to hear, what other people kind of focus on and what leads to other discussions. It's a cool series to have all of these discussions about. And, because we really don't know the right and wrong answers, we're kind of all just having these conversations and there's really no wrong answers and stuff like that.
Interpretations.
Yeah, exactly. And it just makes things, I just like having these kind of conversations. I just think they're really cool. And I appreciate everybody's comments and conversations. So, don't feel shy. Drop them in the comments. What are you thinking about with this season? Like, what are some of your, theories? What do you think about these characters and how this other universe is going to play out? And, stuff like that. Like, we don't know any more than anybody out there who's watching. So it's like, it's just really cool. I'm here for the whole thing. And I just can't wait for episode 5.
Big same.
Yeah. But as we always say, in the meantime, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 4? And what are you most looking forward to, getting back to in episode 5? There's so much to explore before the end of the season. I cannot wait for all of it. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.